In the meantime, tomorrow, of course, is Africa Day, the 57th anniversary of the formation of the Organization for African Unity, of course, now known as the AU. The African Union had ambitious plans for 2020 to silence the guns and to restore peace and security across this continent. But COVID-19 has disrupted the continental body's program, adding an additional unanticipated burden. SABC News' foreign editor Sophie Mokoena joins me now. Thank you very much, Sophie. Let's start with the significance of African Day.
Well, it is an important day because this is the day where we remember our forefathers who established the Organization of African Unity in 1963. But in 2002, it was changed to the African Union that we have. I think it speaks to the road the continent has traveled in ensuring that you do away with colonialism and apartheid. Even though there are still challenges, yes, the political freedom on the continent is there. Even though some countries there are problems, but the economic freedom is still a problem to ensure that all the citizens of this continent do benefit on what we have on the continent, because you find a situation where some people are still struggling in terms of poverty and also the diseases.
Yeah, and traditionally it's a day to celebrate our continent, no longer a public holiday though, but I mean, how will those celebrations tomorrow be affected by COVID-19?
They will be affected by COVID-19. We know that the president, as the chair of the African Union, took a decision to ensure that they record the whole program that was supposed to be live, but unfortunately those events can't happen. We know also that in the afternoon, the Council of Churches and the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, they will have a virtual conference where they will be launching another initiative to ensure that Africans, both on the continent and in the diaspora, work together to develop the continent. Later in the evening, the fundraising concert that is aimed at assisting the continent during this difficult time, during the time where countries are battling the COVID-19, starting around 6. The president again there will participate, deliver a speech. We have the likes of Shoma Josie, you have people like Trevor Noah and other international guests who will be participating, but it is going to be a virtual conference or perhaps entertainment. But the important issue here is that you have Africans taking an initiative both on the continent and in the diaspora to assist the continent currently during this difficult time of COVID-19.
And finally, I mean, the big picture, like we laid out in the beginning, those big plans to stop conflicts, to stop the guns, and of course, the hugely important free trade agreement for many economic watchers, so important for this continent. But a lot has been delayed because of COVID-19.
Yes, we know that in May, we were supposed to have what we call a special ordinary summit of the AU, where the leaders were going to discuss the issue of silencing the gun, because 2020 is the deadline, and South Africa, as the chair, was going to host that important ordinary summit where we were going to look at some of the conflicts on the continent and also to take a decision how to deal with those conflicts. You look at Libya in particular, under these terrible conditions of COVID-19, you know, the war is raging on. You have countries such as the DRC, there are pockets of conflict there, and you also have situations in countries, particularly in the Horn of Africa. You have Somalia, which is still battling to ensure that there's peace and stability and development in that country. And the other important gathering was supposed to be somewhere in June, where the African Continental Free Trade Area was going to be implemented, and the president of South Africa, as the chair, was supposed to ensure the implementation. And unfortunately, all those events have now been deferred. You have a situation where the secretariat is supposed to be operating in Ghana, but unfortunately it's very difficult. And therefore the continent is going to regress. When you look at the research that's been presented, even the Secretary General of the United Nations last week when he was delivering a report, he indicated that Africa is going to be affected. We know that the President of South Africa, as the chair of the African Union, he has made a appeal to the G20 countries to ensure that they do assist Africa, and also the loans must be deferred. And we know that IMF and World Bank have responded positively.
All right, thank you so much for that update. So a lot put on hold, a lot of important things, but there will be online celebrations of Africa Day tomorrow.